It's Kang here, and this is lecture 3 of 4 video lectures where I teach you about deductive arguments and inferences. Today we will learn 2 new inference patterns, disjunctive syllogism and predicate instantiation. Now these inference patterns has these jargony and fancy names, but don't let that scare you. The idea behind them is fairly simple. And just a quick recap, an inference pattern is a rule that tells you which sentence follows logically from a set of premises. And remember that these inference patterns are supposed to be formal, meaning that they fit a particular kind of form or structure. For the inference pattern known as modus ponens, its structure is as follows. Premise 1, if P then Q. Premise 2, P. Conclusion, therefore Q. For example, if it's raining, then the floor is wet. It's raining, so therefore the floor is wet. As you can see, that argument fits the form of a modus ponens. By contrast, the form of a modus tollens argument is as follows. Premise 1, if P then Q. Premise 2, not Q. Conclusion, therefore not P. For example, premise 1, if it's raining, then the floor is wet. Premise 2, the floor is not wet. Conclusion, therefore it's not raining. And as you can see, this argument fits the pattern known as modus tollens. Today we will learn 2 new inference patterns, and they have different forms. Let's start with predicate instantiation. Predicate instantiation has the following form. Premise 1, all A's are B's. Premise 2, M is an A. Conclusion, so M is a B. So let me give you an example. Premise 1, all humans are mortal. Premise 2, Kang is a human. Conclusion, so Kang is mortal. Now, why don't you guys take a moment to pause the video and try to come up with your own example of an argument that fits this pattern known as predicate instantiation. Ready? Pause. Alright, unpause. I hope you all come up with some very creative examples of predicate instantiation. Now let's move on to learn disjunctive syllogism. But before we do that, let's talk about the name of this inference pattern, disjunctive syllogism. The word disjunctive here comes from the word disjunction. So what is a disjunction? In philosophy, when we say disjunction, what we mean is a sentence of the form A or B. In a disjunction of the form A or B, we will say that A is one of its disjunct, and B is also one of its disjuncts. So A and B are both disjuncts of a disjunction, the sentence A or B. Now that we've learned what a disjunction is, let's learn what a disjunctive syllogism is. A disjunctive syllogism is an inference pattern that has the following form. Premise 1, P or Q. Premise 2, not Q. Conclusion, therefore P. However, and this is important here, the following argument also fits the pattern known as disjunctive syllogism. Premise 1, P or Q. Premise 2, not P. Conclusion, Q. So, here it might be a little bit confusing. It seems that both of these forms fit the pattern disjunctive syllogism. But that's okay, because in a disjunctive syllogism, we simply start out with a simple disjunction of the form P and Q, and then in the next premise, we just have to deny one of its disjuncts. And since P is a disjunct and Q is also a disjunct, we can deny P or we can deny Q and conclude that the other one is true. So in the first example, we deny Q and we conclude P. In the second example, we deny P and we conclude Q. Now let's introduce some examples. First, just substitute the symbol P and Q for English sentences. Suppose I sub in the symbol P for Radiohead will headline on Friday and Q for Bon Iver will headline on Friday. Then I'll get an argument that looks like this. Premise 1, either Radiohead will headline on Friday or Bon Iver will headline on Friday. Premise 2, Radiohead will not headline on Friday. Conclusion, so Bon Iver will headline on Friday. And as you can see, this argument has the following form: P or Q, not P, therefore Q. In this class, we're going to learn how to present arguments that fit these kinds of forms. And I invite you guys to get more practice producing arguments that fit these inference patterns. So try to come up with your own examples of these arguments. And that's all I have planned for this video lecture. In the next one, I'll teach you guys the remaining 2 inference patterns: hypothetical syllogism and universal syllogism. Until next time, stay safe and get psyched to study more philosophy. Thanks for listening.